Hey, what's up? This is Jake. You're in Jakes Shop. So, gonna be doing some traction bars on this car today. Check it out. All right, figured it'd be a good time to do a little update on the 68 Camaro build. Finally getting to play with it quite a bit here. I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and use an old set of track bars, slapper bars. They're called a bunch of different things. This set was actually on my 68 Firebird when I initially bought it. A lot of times this is gonna help for drag racing applications if you're running leaf spring suspension. I have a pretty beefy set of multi-leafs I put in this on a previous video that I've kind of made my own multi-leaf conversion for. These will fit right in the original base plates and have our shock mounts in the correct position. These actually give you a variety of options for shock mounting. These are the correct ones for an F body of this era. These are the old set. I'm gonna go ahead and rebuild these suckers. We'll throw them on. A lot of the reason I'm choosing to run these isn't because I'm planning to drag race this car. For what we're doing with the car, what's on there be fine with those big multi-leafs. They've got an extra leaf on the front side, but these typically help for axle wrap, especially if you're running a monoleaf suspension. Old school monoleaf suspensions tend to move quite a bit on a GM car. They place the axles more center on the leaf springs themselves, so there's a tendency to really want to wrap. That's why most of the time you have a multi-leaf car, you'll see an extra leaf or so on the front side to keep that wrap down. These eliminate it completely. Really, I'm deciding to do it for looks. I'm gonna go ahead and completely rebuild these, so I'll show you about a little bit of the process and what they look like when they're done. Okay, some more talking. A couple things of note here. Now, I'm running a pretty wide rim and tire on the back, and one thing I am running into is a slight bit of potential rub issue or really close situation with the rear rim. So I'm gonna position the shock mount in slightly. I'm gonna remanufacture a new hole, make sure I still have plenty of clearance to my inside of the fender well and the leaf spring. We'll be doing that. I have some welding to do on the tips of these things. They've seen a little bit of wear and tear and quite a bit of refinishing. I've got some new rubber snubbers as well. Let's check it out. It's a little dark for the camera over here, but here's the situation we're dealing with. See, this is my converted multi-leaf suspension. You can see there's actually an extra leaf in there versus the backside, right? Only like 3 leaves in there. So I don't really expect a whole lot of axle wrap, but I really want that old school fat tire rear look on this thing, and it will be up a little bit higher in the back. So I'm going to replace that rear plate. You can see where that shock mount is, and you can see what happens is the rim will come just slightly in contact with the end of that post. So I'm going to position that shock in, but I can't go too far because I still need the shock to clear the leaf spring itself. So I've measured the distance I want, and I'm going to remanufacture it so that everything fits in there perfectly. Okay, now you can see we've got these things apart. Now my shock mounts, like I was stating earlier, they need to come inboard just a little bit. So on the existing setup, we're about 1.5 inches and 3/4. These ones, and that's from center line of where the mounting plate is to the outermost part of the shock brace. So what I'm gonna do, and these ones are sitting from center to center about 2 inches. So I'm gonna come in though, even further than that. So I'm gonna go about 1.25 inches on this plate. I'm gonna make a new hole. Now my small concern is that my new shock post came with my shocks. The threads aren't as long, so when I bolt this shock post through, if I don't have enough sticking out there, I may need to machine the back part of that plate a little to get that nut on. Let's get some measurements and some holes drilled and see where we're at. Okay, now that's pretty fun. What I'm doing here is I'm going to rebuild the front of these things. There was a bunch of, in some of the previous pictures that I threw up there's a bunch of waves. Those have been hit before. Some of those old track bars down on the ground, people were jumping cars or doing whatever, going over stuff. So went ahead and cut these down. Not everyone has a plasma, and I would always borrow a plasma. I finally broke down and decided to buy one, or was going to buy one, and a good friend of mine, been doing some work for and helping, went and bought me one. Now this thing is amazing. You just saw me pierce through that stuff, no problem. It's cutting like butter. And this thing's like a little $400 unit. It's a Viper Cut 30i. And I tell you what, I was cutting half-inch plate with this thing the other day. I can't say enough good things. For what I'm doing, it's been a beast of a machine. And for 400 bucks, that is like insane. You're gonna save that in consumables in no time. You know, you can pop holes, drill holes, cut this stuff out, you know, grinder disc, cutter disc, stuff like that. This saves it. You know, I'll have a little grinding work because I'm not trying to be super straight with my lines. One thing you could do is you could bolt a piece of steel as like a template, something like a straight edge, to a piece of steel, and then just use that as a guide for the cutter to come along and cut through it. But for the most part, a little touch-up grinding, and these things are already apart, and I've already got a couple templates made for welding back in here to stiffen these back up and give them the perfect shape that I'm looking for. Okay, and just like that, we've got this thing pretty much exactly what I want to see on here. You know, I'm not going for like crazy perfection. I'm going to be painting these to match the car. Ground them nice and smooth. Got a nice thick piece of steel in there, and this one is the exact profile I want to do. So what I'm going to do, basically the same thing. This one needs a lot more work. I'm going to weld these plates on, weld the top in, and I'm going to use this as my template to make my new radius for this one so they both match. All right, and just like that, we've got two new, brand new rebuilt, not yet painted or finished track bars. All right, got them all sanded. Time for some epoxy and some primer. All right, let's shoot primer. Three coats. Well, I didn't show this process. I got the sealer on. Went ahead and primed them as you saw, sanded them down to 400 real quick, just shot some sealer on it. Time for some base. Well, so the battery died and I got 3 coats of base, kind of 4. Now on second coat of clear. Let's do it. Okay, a little paint, a little clear, and the track bars are looking pretty awesome. They pretty much, well, they match the car now. So we'll get these suckers bolted up. I got new rubbers in them. Got brand new shock mounts, new shocks going on them. So we'll get these both bolted in the car and see what they look like. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out.
Yep.
Okay, is it recording?
Just hit recording.
Okay. So, got the track bars installed. I don't know who does a base clear job on their track bars, but there's probably something wrong with them if they do, or they're just crazy like me, and that's okay too, right? They're painted to match the car. They look great. They're actually, I need to put a little more tension on them here, but as you can see, they'll do a lot to help that axle twist, you know, under hard acceleration. Brand new bushings in them as well, and they fit great. So, hey, if you like the video at all, hit like or subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.